You should always be recruiting all the time. But they look at it like a project, right? This is the beginning, like a house. This is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end. I need a project manager. I find the guy. I'm good. I'm done. It doesn't work that way. You should always be recruiting all the time. Like always be marketing. Because if you have great clients and great employees, construction's a great industry. But if you have marginal clients and marginal employees, it sucks.
Hi, this is Gavin Coyle back again with another great episode of I'm the Gaffer, and I have a fantastic gentleman today who has a very, very successful business. It's Paul Sanneman, and he's the founder of Contractor Staffing Source, which brings 30 years of successful business coaching, and he's coached over 400 companies in the sector.
Actually, yeah, I've coached 2,000, but people don't believe that number, Gavin.
My God.
I've done this for 40 years. I've earned $10 million of hardware an hour at a time, right?
Paul, tell the guests, where are you right now? What part of the world are you in?
I'm in Hawaii.
That was a purpose tripwire to tell everybody how we are so jealous of you.
I said, well, actually, I have a house in Hawaii, a house in Palm Springs, and a house in Finland. I sort of go between the three because that way I've got the ocean and the desert and the mountains, right?
Yeah,
so I get to do all three.
I have to say, I've been really looking forward to this, and I know that you've been waiting a while to come on, and we're very privileged and we're very excited to have you. And I just, give our listenership, they want to know what it is that you do that can help them in terms of, a lot of the guys that are listening to this podcast are small to medium enterprise owners of construction businesses in Europe or in the States. And, they might not have aspirations to go any bigger than where they are. They might be just like up to 200, or they might only have 5 people working for them. So, what is it you guys do, and how do you help people like that?
Well, let me explain this. How we got started, Gavin. I've been a coach for 40 years. I'd say 50. It makes me sound really old, so I don't go 50.
You don't look it.
Yeah. I'm like 74 years old. I'm doing something at 25, right? So Anyway, about 3 or 4 years ago, I could get businesses from $1 million or $2 million to $10 million. I probably did it like hundreds of times. But the problem was they couldn't find the people. So my original idea is, okay, I found some really cool software and, assessments and applicant tracking system, which it automates the whole recruiting process. I gave it to my clients and they totally screwed it up. Didn't have time to do it. Because you're supposed to get back an applicant within 5 minutes of the time they apply. And we go through 200 applicants to find a guy, right? So they didn't have time to do it. So I put a guy in my garage and I said, okay, we'll just do it for my clients for a monthly fee. That was 3 years ago, right? Now we have 30 people on the team worldwide. We go through 3,000 or 4,000 resumes a week. Wow. We have 400 job openings any given day. We hired almost 500 people last year, and only 17 didn't work out, which is pretty good for construction.
So you're only construction. Oh my God!
I think we're the world's largest that just does construction. We don't do anything else besides construction. That's it.
That's phenomenal.
The way we do it is we have an applicant tracking system. We used to use another one, but now we use our own. And when people apply, right, we get back with them in 5 or 10 minutes. That's critical. And then we have like 40 different assessments we send people. I'll know more about you than your mom if you take this thing. And then we do video interviews. We do background checks. We do all the stuff that people are supposed to do, but they don't.
The due diligence part, the important piece.
So we do all this stuff. And since I'm using offshore labor and AI, I can literally do it. I can recruit anybody they want for like $1,200 a month, all in for everything.
Wow. You've got to go back over that figure again. So... No, not because I remember we've had this discussion and it stuck in my head after. So I was like, no, did I hear that correctly? So I need to employ somebody. The reason
I can do it for that low a price, first base, I used to do it for a couple $1,000 a month. The problem was we found everybody in 3 months, Gavin, and they quit. I go, you should be recruiting all the time. And they went, not really. They're contractors, right? So I said, screw that. I'm just going to do it like monthly. So I do $1,200 a month, up to 5 positions. And we pretty much have a 95% chance of finding those people because we search a database of 25,000 of our own. We also go on LinkedIn, Facebook, every place on the planet we can find them. We look for them. We also can search all those databases. And the reason I can do it is I'm using offshore labor, which you get amazing people for way less money. You probably know about that. Like you're looking in Venezuela, Bolivia, Philippines, all over the world. And we have a lot of artificial intelligence. I mean, we use a lot of AI. So between those two, we can do it way cheap.
So you're finding the people, but you're not employing the people for these companies. So if I need a construction manager,
we become like your like outsourced HR department, right?
Recruitment partner.
We put the ads in, we screen, get back to 10 minutes, we screen all the people, we screen 3,000 or 4,000 people a week. We get back to them with the assessments, we do reference checks, we do video interviews, they can do it on their phone. And so we use a lot of technology. And that's allows.
So let me put this in context for the listenership, right? So I'm based in Ireland and I've worked in the UK and Ireland, and I have some experience in the recruitment industry. 20% of the gross annual salary is the rule of thumb for placement of a full-time person within the construction sector. 20% of the gross annual salary, and the salaries are through the roof. So this is what was in my mind going, well, I have to talk to Paul. Maybe I got that wrong.
I mean, I recruited, what was it, 18 people for one contractor last year, and he paid me like $30,000. I'm talking project managers, everything, carpenters across the board.
And you know, obviously, that there's a massive shortage of labour in the market, of good labour as well as just general getting people is a massive problem. So you don't have that problem.
Most of our clients, Gavin, are between 4 and 15 employees. We have
it. Oh my God.
300 clients, right? And they're all small because they don't have the time to do it themselves. Because when you consider we get back to 200 people within 10 minutes of the time they apply, we have to go through 200 people to find a guy. They don't have time to do that. No way, right?
And one thing for anybody listening to this, Paul is super confident in his own ability and his own business mission and model because he can stack up the figures because he has the data that proves that he has the model that can deliver.
I think we're sort of disrupting the recruiting industry because AI makes it a whole lot easier. And so we can do a lot of stuff we couldn't do before. And the AI is changing things really fast. We're not quite here yet, but I'll tell you what's coming, Gavin. You'll laugh at this. We're going to be interviewing people with AI. It's going to be like a real person, but you can't tell it's a real person. And it'll say things like, it'll do a perfectly good interview and you won't be able to know it's AI. And we're a little close now because it takes, if the interview questions are fine, like how long you worked here, tell me about yourself and what you like to do. And, regular interview, it does great, but it hesitates about a half a second before it answers because it's got to go through all these algorithms and stuff to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by the end of this year or earlier, we'll have that worked out. So literally, AI will be able to interview somebody just like a person.
Yeah, and so no one takes into consideration the time lost of doing interviews, of vetting people, of going through all the visa requirements and all the due diligence of these people. And then, if you don't do it the right way and the person leaves after 2 months, the cost of that as well on top of it. And
it's astronomical. So, Gavin, I've got time here. I've got what I consider the 6 myths of hiring. Can I go over that really quick with you?
Go for it, yeah.
Okay. So, because I've dealt with contractors for 40 years. They're really nice guys, in most cases, some girls. They're great human beings, but they usually suck at marketing and recruiting. It's not their thing. They're craftsmen that have become entrepreneurs, right? And that's a transition for people to make. It's tough. And so it's tough making that transition. So they have these things they have in their head that I call the myths of hiring. One is only recruit when you need someone, which is not true. You should always be recruiting all the time. But they look at it like a project, right? This is the beginning, like a house. This is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end. I need a project manager. I find the guy. I'm good. I'm done. It doesn't work that way.
You need a conveyor belt. Where's the conveyor belt?
You should always be recruiting all the time, like always be marketing. Because if you have great clients and great employees, construction is a great industry. But if you have marginal clients and marginal employees, it sucks.
Yeah.
So the next one, employees are expensive. It's all the time. The best thing you're going to hire is a great employee. You can't make money without employees. So what happens is people think employees are expensive. They are not. They're the best investment you're ever going to make. All right. Another one is, I can do it myself. Not true. I mean, you don't fix your own car generally. You don't do your own. You have a CPA.
I've heard that one. I don't know how many times I've heard that.
You have all these other people, but somehow you think I throw an ad at Indeed or whatever, and I call the guy a week later, and it's all going to be good. And it doesn't. It doesn't work. You can't do it yourself. Get somebody who knows what they're doing.
Value
Recruit
your
within the
time.
construction industry. That's another myth. I mean, I'll give you an example, Gavin. In the U.S. here, we during the pandemic, we had a real shortage of people like we do now. So, but what happened is the hospitality industry was just killed. So we have found the best project coordinators sometimes are wedding planners. Now think about that.
Yeah.
You know, a wedding planner
It's
has
just-
to get sort of a flaky group of people together. You got the band, you got the flowers, you got the venue, you got all those people.
Landscaper.
They all got to show up at the right time. Back when I was in Liverpool, a lot of those, something in hen parties they do over there? I don't know. A lot of those going on in Liverpool, right? Anyhow, so you got to get all those people together. They got to be sober, and they got to show up all at the right time, and it's got to look great, and everybody has to be happy. Sounds like a remodel to me, right?
100%. And you have to construct a facility, maybe a marquee or whatever else
So
outside.
the thing is, a person, if somebody has a great skill set as a wedding planner, they could become a project coordinator.
100%.
Same set, right?
100%. 100%.
The next one's really key. People think I should hire fast and fire slow. This is typical. That's the myth, right? I find the warm body. The guy comes in. I have a project. I need him yesterday. I waited too late to hire him. So I put him on the job, hire fast. And then, I'm not going to fire him because he's not quite bad enough to fire, good enough to keep. So it's purgatory in employment, right?
Yeah.
So they're the world's worst employee. They drag, I use examples like they only steal once in a while. They only lie occasionally. And so what happens is it takes your corporate culture and kills it. Because the bad apple, so to speak, right? They come in and you hire them because you need them. And then the guys go, well, this guy lies and he's still here. Or this guy shows up 30 minutes late. He's still here. You know, he only steals occasionally and he's still here. Wow, we got a whole new set of values in this company. And it's
they're rewarding bad behavior, basically.
And fire slow, and they can't fire anybody else. The reality is you hire slow and you fire fast.
Yeah, 100%.
So you take a long time to find the right person. That's why you're recruiting all the time. It may take you 3 or 4 months to find the right guy or girl who's going to do this job. So you hire slow, and if they're bad, boom, they're gone. You fire fast.
Okay, so let me give a scenario. Let's look at the Paul Sanneman model in a case study model. Let's look at I'm doing a mixed development project in a rural part of the UK, and I am a principal contractor, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go direct labor on this. I'm not going to use the contractors because I can't trust them and I can't get them because they're too busy. And you know what? I'm going to go direct labor. Can I go to you and just, complete the complete labor requirement for that whole project? Roofers, carpenters, electricians, plumbers.
We can hire. We hire everybody.
No way. Everything.
We can find them. Now I will tell you, we all the U.S. and Canada, but the UK they speak English. We're good because everything we have works, and we have people because we have Spanish and English. Now maybe if somebody was in Abu Dhabi or something, it'd be hard to do, right?
I know that, but
England's not a problem because everybody speaks English. We're good.
There's just a visa requirement, obviously a work visa requirement.
We'll hire people in England because everything's all software, right? So basically, if you're in England, we'll figure out your job descriptions. We'll use ChatGPT or AI to write a lot of this stuff for us. We'll write job descriptions. We'll put it on every job board in England that they have, plus LinkedIn. When they apply, we'll get back to them within 5 or 10 minutes of time they apply. We'll send them an assessment. We'll figure out who they are. We'll do a video interview. We'll do background checks. We'll do reference checks, all that kind of stuff. And we'll deliver these people to you, boom. And you can look at the ATS at any time and see exactly what's going on. It's all software.
I think you better go and ring Amazon and tell them to get another set of servers because you're going to crash the servers after this podcast.
In case your listeners don't know, an applicant tracking system. It's like a CRM for recruiting. So what happens is you can look in the ATS and see who applied, when they applied, all the emails, all the correspondence, all the assessments, all the video interviews. Everything is in the ATS. It's all in their automated software. It's really great.
So HubSpot would be probably one that people would know more.
Yeah, HubSpot or Salesforce. Those are ATS. Those are CRMs designed for sales. This is the same thing except it's designed for recruiting. We developed our own.
And it's your own proprietary
We
software.
developed another guy, and it works.
Fantastic.
We used to use the Applicant Pro. The problem with the Applicant Pro was they're so big. I had like 40, 50 clients at the time, and it went down, and it's like the phone company. I don't know. They said, here's a ticket. We'll get back to you in 2 weeks. I went, I've got 40 people looking for people. Yeah. You back to me in 2 weeks? So I said, heck with that, and we did our own. So now...
Is it as simple as me sending you an email and saying, yeah, I've signed up?
Well, what we do is you go to our website, which is contractorstaffingsource.com, right? And then it shows what we do and how we do it and all that kind of stuff. And then literally give an email, and I usually meet with you first, Gavin. Like we did this, I talk about who you're looking for. I'd show you how everything worked. If you decide to sign up, then you go on a credit card, boom, I'd put your Visa card in, and we're done. You get billed monthly, like $1,200 a month, and we'll do everything for you. You're done.
And is there a minimum amount of months that I have to sign up for?
It has to be a year, because the thing is, the reason I changed it was I would have people sign up for 2 months and 3 months and quit because we found everybody.
Bye-bye.
I went through 183 clients last year. I went, dude, this sucks. So
that's a bad business model, Paul. I'm sorry.
So this is not working for me. So I changed it to now it's $1,200 a month, but you got at least I'm not going to have you sign a contract because I'm not going to sue somebody for $1,200, but a verbal commitment. Now, the thing I find out about contractors, they're really good people. I mean, generally, as a group of people, they give their word, they're going to keep it. So I just take your word for it.
Look, I'm super excited to have you here because, like, everybody on this side of the water, shall we say, is screaming for labor and saying that there's not enough labor in the market.
Well, it's the same thing in the U.S. and Canada. We're in both markets, and I'm excited because if I wanted to be our first guy in the UK, because all this software works anywhere in the world, right? It's software works.
Yeah.
So
we're open borders. We're open borders.
It is. So we can do everything for you and find your people. And I think this is sort of disrupting the recruiting industry. Yeah. Because it's a new model, right?
So what's to stop maybe a employment agency contacting you and saying, hey, we like what you're doing. Why don't you supply the people to us and then we'll supply them to the contractors?
I haven't ever had that done. Probably depends on the employment agency. I don't know, because the thing is, I've been a coach for contractors for all my life, right? And I think we were doing a really good service. And I don't want to do something go to charge. I'd rather go straight to the contractor, deal with the guy, because I want to deal with you and what you want. I don't want somebody to get in between.
That wasn't a trick question. I didn't mean to try and trip you up, but I wanted you. I'm so glad you said that because your database is your IP.
Right. Now, I'll tell you right now, our database right now is not going to be good in England. It'll be anywhere in the U.S. and Canada will be good, but England, we don't have a database for England. But if you start working with us, Gavin, we'll start making one, right?
It won't be me. It'll be the listeners, definitely.
Right.
But so basically what you're saying is that you will build out a model for the UK or Ireland or Europe.
Right. And we're building a model for Australia, so it'll work anywhere. And I also spend 2 months a year in Europe anyway. I have a house. My wife's Finnish, so I live in Finland, so I'm there 2 months first anyway. So I've been to most countries. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Europe, so I get it.
No, I love it. I think you're a disruptor. A lot of people use that terminology loosely. But if there's one industry that needs a disruption, is the model of 20% to find somebody as a gross of their salaries.
If you're hiring somebody for $100,000 a year, right? It's going to cost you $20,000 to find them.
And you're not sure they're going to work out.
And I can find all your people for the same damn price, right? I mean, that doesn't make sense. Now, I'll tell your listeners, really, if they're going to do it themselves, I have like do-it-yourself thing. I can tell people what to do. And so I'm just going to give a quick, this is what you should do if you decide to do recruiting yourself. Can I go through that really quick, Kevin?
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So one, you've got to write a killer job ad. Now, it's way easier with AI that you can go to ChatGPT and say, I am a blah, blah contractor. And ChatGPT will write you a pretty decent ad, and that didn't used to happen. So it's way easier to write job ads than it used to be because AI is a big help. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you got to post this ad everywhere. Literally, whatever job board you have, they need to be posted. LinkedIn, it gets to be posted everywhere. That's key. You can't just put it in Indeed and figure it done. Now, this is the most important part that most people totally screw up. You got to respond within hours, preferably minutes, not days.
100%.
Because like if you have a sales call, Gavin, and somebody calls you, you're not going to call them back a week later, right?
No.
So what happens is this is an internal sale. So when somebody applies, you get back to within 10 minutes. They go, this company's got their act together, right?
Yeah.
If you call them back a week later, they already got on the job. So you got to get back to the person in minutes or hours, not days. Okay.
I literally had that conversation with somebody 4 hours ago. Exactly that conversation was, if you don't get back to someone within the hour, you've lost them.
Right. And how many people can get back to 200 applicants within an hour? That's what we do. You can't do that. That's why it doesn't work, right? Because we get back to 3,000 or 4,000 applicants a week, but that's because we've got people all over the world working 24/7 to do this. Next is selection process. Use a really good assessment. There's a bunch of them out there. We have one we really like, but you can assess people. I'll know more about you than your mom should take this, Gavin. It's a psychological assessment. It's a skills. It's a total assessment. There's no reason you can do that right now on the internet. There's a lot of tools out there. Make sure you've got a killer assessment. Some people's just profiles, but make sure you assess the person, because with the AI and stuff out there that's now, you can know all about them before you even talk to them. So use a quality assessment, all right? And then, do interviews. Do video interviews. They're key. Yeah. We have video interviews. So literally a person can pick up their phone and they have 10 questions they're supposed to ask. And they're done. In a video interview, you can tell things you can't tell in an assessment. You can tell who they are as a person, what they look like. I mean, you can get a lot of information you get in a video interview you can't get in an assessment. To do an assessment, you have a video interview process. Okay, make sure you do that. And then you've also got to check the references, and you've got to do background checks.
And you're talking as if someone has to do that themselves, but obviously your guys do all of that for you.
We do all that stuff, but I'm telling you, if you want to do it on your own, you got to do all that stuff yourself to do it right.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll end up with the world's worst employee, one who's not bad enough to fire, good enough to keep, right? They suck.
Yeah, and we're all about on this podcast is stick to your core business and what you're good at. And with all due respect, none of us are as construction leaders are not good at the HR side of things and the hiring side of things.
One thing, especially because our market is companies between 3 people and 20 people, right?
Yeah.
You've not got the resources to do it on your own, right? You just don't.
That's the demographic we're talking about. Yeah. And someone might turn around and say, hey, yeah, but I've only got 2 or 3 employees. Like if I have to pay $1,200 a month and I only need maybe 1 employee for the whole year, that's not, the figures don't stack up. Well, hold on, have a bit of broad thinking about it. Why don't you pull in 2 or 3 of your plumbing and heating mates together, and why don't you pool your resources together and say, hey, overall we need 10 people between us, and let's go and talk to Paul and sort of build a pipeline together, because creative thinking creates creative minds, which creates scale, which creates profit.
Yeah, but even a small business, you're only as good as your team, right? That's it.
Yeah.
And your ability to build a team will 100% determine, how good you are as a construction company. When you think about it, most contractors are frugal. Let's think that's a player. They're frugal, right? As a group.
Yeah.
And so you can get them to buy a tractor, no problem.
Yeah.
But get them to buy marketing or software, the stuff that's not physically tangible stuff, they have a really hard time with that. And yet, I mean, I'm using a backhoe and you're using a shovel. There's no contest, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, if you spend, what is it worth to have a quality team? Is it worth $1,200 to have a quality team? To me, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Because the reason you should always be looking is because you never know who's out there. And if you don't have your line in the water, you won't find him. Maybe somebody who has a lot of, subcontractors, has architects, has a lot of connections, they're quitting their job because they don't like their boss or whatever. And they're going to be looking, they'd be a perfect candidate, but you don't hire them because you're not looking. So you should always be marketing and always be recruiting just to run a decent business. But unfortunately, when people make the transition from craftsman to entrepreneur, they think like a craftsman, not like an entrepreneur.
Amen.
Right. And so they think in terms of projects, beginning, middle, end. Things begin, they end. They don't think things last. If a project lasts forever, you are screwed, right? So it's but in marketing, you never stop marketing because you want quality clients, and you never stop recruiting because you want quality people. And those are just fundamental rules of any entrepreneur. But unfortunately, when craftsmen make the shift to entrepreneur, they learn the hard way. And I say, Gavin, you can stay in business as long as you can afford to pay for your mistakes, right? That's how you tell.
Well done. Well said. Well said.
So, and a lot of businesses go down, and that's because, they don't have the right employees, they don't have the right clients, right? There's nothing wrong with the industry.
Yeah, look, we always talk about on this podcast about the fact that most people started their own business because they got frustrated working in an employer-employee relationship where they felt that the people above them just hadn't a clue or weren't up to the same standard as them. And, if you're going to get frustrated, either shut up and get on with the job or go out and do it yourself. Right. And that's exactly what you're saying there. And
if you're going to do, outsource your recruiting, outsource your marketing,
be smart.
Your accounting. Get a good project management software. Use JobTread or whatever. You get good project management software. I just went to I'm going to diverge from. I went to the JobTread. I was a JobTread partner, which is software. And it's a new guy started his company. And he said, I'm going to be redundant, but I'm going to tell you, he outlined what you need to do a business. Okay. Can I do this really quick?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So first, pursue a mission and vision. That's the key. You got to love what you do and be passionate about it. Second, build a great team. You're only as good as your team. Take the time and energy to build a great team. Next, focus on the culture. Buy lunch. Help these people out. The culture is key. So whatever it takes to create an awesome culture to be in, you want A players. So you have to focus a culture to do that. Master sales and marketing, because you've got to have good clients to have a good business. Next, deliver exceptional customer service. That's key because you got to be better than the next guy. Implement effective processes like recruiting process, marketing process. It's got to be process oriented. Just throwing people at it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Embrace technology. We couldn't do what we're doing a year ago. We didn't have AI. AI can write job ads. AI can do key performance indicators. It can do also. It does an amazing amount. It wasn't here last year, right?
Yeah.
So and you should have a good a good project management software. Use technology. All right, and embrace it. Next, know your numbers. Know whether you make or lose money, because I will tell you, big companies like, in the U.S. ones, big Costco, they know, or Taco Bell, they know where they made or money on their labor every 2 hours.
Yeah.
And a lot of the problem with contractors, they don't track their numbers, so they don't know what employees cost them. Like when somebody says, wow, I'm not going to spend $1,200 to find an employee, the wrong employee can cost you $20,000. Boom.
Yeah. No real time data, no real-time data coming in. I'm just laughing.
I think those were good things to run a business under. So that's a transition. If you decide to quit your job as a carpenter or a plumber or whatever you're doing and start your own company, you better become an entrepreneur really fast, or you're going to go back to work really fast. Yeah,
unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the talent comes first and the business acumen becomes second. And that's worse. That's why the purpose of this podcast is to try and help people, because they don't have time to go back to school, and like people like yourself and other guys on the podcast can give them that instant information education that they don't, here we go. You don't need a playbook. You don't need to go and read a book. You don't need Audible. You just need to listen to this guy and go, and you can implement some of what he's saying, all what he's saying. You can get in touch with these people, and these people will help you out straight away. And they're not looking, it mightn't suit you, but at least you'll have learned something from it if you don't go ahead with it.
Construction's a great industry as long as you have a great team and great clients, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have great clients and a great team, it's really hard.
Yeah. I was laughing when you were talking about those principles, because I remember back in the day when I went out into the entrepreneur route myself, and a very wise Irishman said to me, he says, always remember the 3 Ds, always remember the 3 Ds. And I said, what's the 3 Ds in business? And he said, decide, delegate, and disappear.
I like that one. That's good. That's great advice.
I'm glad we've moved on to AI and all the rest of it now.
I'm telling you, AI, I look at there's, fire, electricity, and AI. It's going to change everything. So, I'm involved a lot with that. And AI is sort of like abortion. You're like for it or against it. There's like a very political issue here. they're going to destroy the planet or fix it. But you can't avoid it, you know. And if you're a contractor, and contractors tend to be Luddites a little bit when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
You can't afford to do that these days. I mean,
no, but like as you said, you know, you have the expertise. You're building models within your own business using AI. They don't need to know about AI. They just need to know that there's an output that's going to make their business more efficient.
You don't need to know how to build a backhoe, but you should use one instead of a shovel, right?
Yeah. So give me an estimate. Give me a current estimate of your database. How many people do you think is in it? Roughly. I'm not holding you to it. Plus or minus 5,000.
Our database in the US is about 25,000. But the database doesn't matter. What matters is using technology to get to other people's databases. Like Indeed, Facebook, LinkedIn has a huge database, right? So you can go into LinkedIn and look for people. Now, we're not a headhunter. We're not going to go out and find the guy who works for your competitor, call him at night, find out his LinkedIn profile, say, come to work for me. We don't do that. But if they're looking for a job, we will find them.
Yeah. So so they're flagging that they're looking for a job or they're looking for an opportunity.
If they go on LinkedIn, hey, I'm not happy, we will find them. We can have AI actually look at LinkedIn and search it and find it for us, which is really cool.
And I think that's important to say because, and that is great about those applicant tracking systems is that they're able to flag who is available and engaged in the process of looking for a job and who's dormant and not looking at the moment and doesn't want to be touched. Because it does get into GDPR and, you know, leave me alone.
So I mean, I think if your listeners, you know, either follow the steps I laid out earlier here or have somebody else do it. But, you know, you're only as good as your team. I look at people that are very successful, whether you like them or not, maybe Elon Musk, people like that. They're really smart, but their ability is to build teams, right? That's what they've got together. So as a contractor, your number one skill, I don't care if you're the greatest carpenter in the world and you can lay out a straight line and do frame and all that kind of, that's fine. But if you can't build a good team, you're screwed. It's like...
Well, to quote Elon Musk, and this is one that's sticking in my head and I can't get it out of my head, and it's so true, was he said, the answer is easy. It's how you ask the right question is what you need to focus on.
Right.
And if you're not asking these questions in your business, like how am I getting the most out of my people? Have I got the capacity to deliver the projects that I have within the team I have? Do I have a sustainable model to grow the business and have a sustainable model that I have a pipeline of talent coming through? Whether I need them or not, at least I know I can call these people and not be reactive. I have a proactive approach to, like, this is a massive problem.
Like Gavin, these days, there's a thing called prompt engineer, and that was good for me. Chat GPT and AI is really useful, but you got to ask it the right question. Same principle, right? You got to say, I'm a contractor. I'm in Dublin, Ireland. I do $2 million a year. I'm a plumbing contractor. I'm looking for somebody. And tell it everything you need. Then it'll write the job ad. You just can't say, write me a job ad. So that principle applies especially when using AI. You've got to ask the right question.
Yeah, and the guys don't have time to be sitting down writing these questions and writing the scope and going through the details and the nitty-gritty, and your guys can do that.
Right, we do.
And I have to say, I think you're a minority because you have the so-called greedy recruitment agencies that are just don't want the old school model to be ripped up and apart because they have these legacy models that are producing millions and millions of euros and pounds for their business, and they don't want to be they don't want to see the likes of you guys coming onto the market. I'm
sure I won't be popular among
not a good look for them.
No,
it's not a good look.
No.
So tell me, I know, how do we get in touch with you? Like, so talk to me.
Okay, I will tell you can go to my website, which is contractorstaffingsource.com.
Contractorstaffingsource.com. We're going to put that into the show notes, but we also, you can,
I'll give you my phone number. I'm in Hawaii. Don't call me in the middle of the night, but I'm good. It's, my personal phone is 415-599-9006, the US.
So that's +1, obviously.
+1, right. And then my personal email is paul@paulsanneman.com.
We're going to put all that in the show notes. I tell you what would be good as well is if you have those, some of those tips and some of those tip documents you were speaking about in the podcast. We'll put that in the notes that people can download as well if you like.
I will do that. I've got a couple of things. I've given a couple of webinars. I can give it to my assistant. We can redo some of the stuff, and I'll send you that.
Yeah, and look, guys, I'm hearing from everybody that there's, we just can't get people. We can't get good people. We can't get people at all. And this guy is shaking it up. He's. This is the reason we brought him on today, was because there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. There is someone here that's disrupting the market. You don't have to go and be the one that has to pay a fortune and then be disappointed that you've made a bad hire. This guy will go through the whole process of due diligence, strip it from the top down to make sure that they get the best person for you. Is it a great fit? Only you will know. You're the one that signs off to make sure that the mission, vision and values of the company are aligned with the individual and with you, and that's your responsibility. But look, Paul will take 70% of the problem out of the equation for you. The 30% is up to you and the individual. I think I'd be fair to say that, Paul. Yeah,
that's fair. I can't tell about personality fit or that chemistry that you get between you and an employee, but I can tell you they're qualified, they're honest, they're true. They have all this. I mean, I can do all that. It's up to you to say if somebody you really like or not, and I can't ever tell that.
$1,200 a month. Oh my God! I have to. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Don't come to me and tell me that you can't find people. And I'm interested to see, can we get some people back? Maybe come back on the podcast if you get some UK or Irish people.
I'd love to work in the UK because I spend a lot of time in Europe. Right? That'd be that. I would love this podcast to initiate our thing in the UK and disrupt the UK recruiting industry. I would love to do that. That sounds like fun.
I love it. Yeah, I'm all for it.
It all started with this podcast. That'd be so cool, right?
Absolutely wreck the place, Paul. Completely come in with a rocking ball and just completely shatter all these old school methods and say, hey, I'm going to take down the price of recruitment. I'm going to make you more efficient, and I'm going to give you quality people that you're missing. And there's no push and pull here. This. If anyone's listening, we'll put all the details in there for Paul. And look, Paul, I can only say best of luck and continued success.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Gavin. I really appreciate being here.